I hope everyone is having a good morning. I feel weird. I didn't put my AirPods in for this morning, and I feel like I can't hear or see anything for some reason. It's really weird how that works. I don't know if anybody else has issues with that.
I don't
Or
have.
Yes. Okay, so it looks like we're live now. We finally have people streaming in to join us. So, Jennifer, do you want to kick us off? Tell us what we're going to talk about today, and let's jump right in.
yes. So this past summer, we took a poll in our groups, seeing like what topics people were interested in hearing about from an OT. If you're like my family, then you probably PCSed this summer. And sometimes when we have kids or family members who are in occupational therapy, speech therapy, and physical therapy and stuff, that transition from one provider while waiting to the next provider can get very interesting. I'll leave it at that. Sometimes our loved ones will regress, or they'll need help with techniques or what have you that they didn't need assistance with before. So to prep our EFMP families for PCSing, we have been speaking with Candy, who is an occupational therapist, and she's here today to help us with these transitions, whether it's we're PCSing, or if you're like my kids, sometimes they regress during school holiday breaks and stuff. And so we took a poll, and we have Candy. The results for the poll were dressing, taking off, putting on clothes like shoes and socks and stuff, toileting, accessing a bathroom, hygiene, all of that. So we're just gonna discuss some of these things, but I'm gonna pass this off to Candy and have her introduce herself to everyone, because she has so graciously volunteered her time to help our families.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Candy Velasco. I'm the occupational therapist. I usually work in home health as my full-time job. I also am a co-owner of an adaptive clothing company called Equal Threads. So we deal a lot with accessibility, making people's life easier. So today I wanted to talk about lower body dressing and toileting. These are things that we have to do every day, regardless if you're a caregiver or if you're taking care of yourself. So I wanted to start off talking about kind of like the complexity between the lower body dressing and the whole toileting sequence. Sometimes when people think about lower body dressing, they think about, oh, let me put my shoes and pants on. But in reality, it involves a lot more than that. And there's a certain order where you should do these things. Like lower body dressing as an occupational therapist is very, very complex. It deals with balance, endurance, being able to tolerate even standing up. And it involves many, many, many moving parts. An example of a typical lower body dressing routine includes, number one, being able to put your underwear on. Number two, being able to put your pants or your skirt on. Number three, being able to get your shoes, socks, slippers on. And sometimes people also have to deal with like compression stockings, or they may have to deal with a catheter bag, and they might have to deal with maybe putting on a protective undergarment on top of their underwear if they're incontinent, plus maybe a prosthesis, maybe a knee brace or more than one knee brace, ankle foot orthosis. So it's very, very complex. So I have some equipment for lower body dressing that I wanted to share with everyone. I'm going to move this back a little bit. So I wanted to showcase the more common lower body dressing equipment. So I have things like these. So these are very, very good for kids. So you see these little loops up there? So when kids put on their socks, sometimes if you have fine motor issues, it's very difficult to get your socks on to pull these up. So we have these loops. so they can wrap their fingers around it. So these you can get online, and this makes it super easier. I did not find these in adult sizes, but it would be a good idea if they also made these for adults, because sometimes a lot of the adults have fine motor issues, but super good for kids. Another common tool that we use is a reacher. So basically, sometimes you have a very hard time getting your pants on, or if you're sitting on the toilet and your pants fall around your ankles, and if you're dizzy or you have back pain or limitations, it makes it really hard to lean forward to pull your pants up. So we have this tool called the reacher. They come in different lengths, but because I'm not the tallest person in the world, I like it shorter. The problem with sometimes when my patient order reachers, they want to get that extra long reacher, the 32-inch. The problem with that is, even if you're a typical, 5'4", 5'5" female, and you have a 32-inch reacher, you end up having an item at the end of this reacher. To grab something with a 32-inch reacher, you basically have to do this. So it makes it very difficult, and sometimes it makes it awkward if you don't have a lot of space around you. So I prefer, this is, I think, maybe 18 inches, and sometimes they come in a 26-inch, which I prefer. So I prefer that everyone get one of these. It helps with dressing. It also helps with being able to get clothes out of your closet. You can get things out of your lower drawer. Under the bathroom sink is very handy. The thing you do not want to do with this is to reach up overhead and get heavy things, like cans and fragile things and things that can fall on you. So these are very easy to purchase. Order them online. They're called a grabber or a reacher. You guys doing okay so far? I know there's a lot of equipment that I want to show you guys.
Yes, and really quick, Candy, I just want to tell our audience, if you guys have questions for Candy, please drop them in the comment section below so that we can ask her, because she's showing us a lot of really cool items. And I know that I already had a question about the socks, so I'm sure you guys have questions too.
I did
So
too. I was trying to look at the brand. I'm like, what are those?
See?
This is the easy sock.
Easy socks.
Easy socks.
And
okay, so we will.
Okay, yeah, we'll get back. Yeah, we can get back to that. Sorry, we didn't mean to.
Yes, we will drop that link for you guys in the comment section.
This is a comment for Austin. We're like, huh?
Yes. Go ahead, Candy.
Go ahead, Austin.
I was going to say, so just everybody drop your comments, your questions in the comments. We will ask Candy. Candy, we're going to let you keep going. I just wanted to remind people to drop those questions so that we can ask them to you as they come across.
That's perfect. So I'm going to keep talking, but you guys keep the questions coming in. And a very cool tool I use a lot is a sock aid. And there's actually different brands you can get. I ordered these from Amazon, but you can just Google it online. And they're relatively inexpensive, less than $20. They come in either a soft sock aid, and some of them have a very hard plastic where you're not able to mold it to your foot or your sock. So the purpose of this is to help you get your socks on without bending over. So if you guys want, I can give you a quick demonstration. So let me set this up really quick.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this works.
Yeah, a lot of people, they say they don't like it, but once they start it, they find it makes it like 5 times easier, sometimes 10 times easier.
Okay.
You have your sock here. So you imagine that this is going to touch the floor. This is like the bottom of your foot. So you can imagine this. Your foot is going to go in here. So you have your sock. Let me see if you guys can see this. Can you guys see this okay? So you're going to put the sock on over the sock aid. So the trick is get the tip all the way in, like this. But you don't want to pull the sock over the edge like this. If you do this, you will have a really hard time getting your sock on. So you leave it like so, and excuse everyone, I'm going to raise my foot up in the air. So this is actually down on the floor. So your foot is down on the floor. So sock is on, and you pull the sock aid out. So it makes it very easy, if you have back pain, or some of my patients have surgery, hip surgery. If kids have, stiffness in their knees, or they have difficulty bending over, or sometimes just a change of position causes, like nausea, dizziness. So a sock aid.
So
And
I've got to tell you, Candy, I'm over here. I have a child who cannot put on their own socks, but insists that she can. And I get a lot of, I do it myself. And I'm like, no, but you really can't. This seems like it could be life-changing in my house because that battle could be gone. Because fine motor skills for her means she can't do it. But I could put the sock on that, and she, I'm certain, would love to be pulling it. And I know a lot of our kids like that, like input, right? The pressure input of like
they
pulling and
do.
pushing things. And here's a perfect activity in the morning. They're like, put your socks on.
Right.
Love it.
Because in the morning, just say at nighttime or in the morning before dressing actually takes place, if you want, you can actually have two of these, one sock on each, left, right. And so you can teach them left and right and have it ready, where they get dressed next to the shoes. So once they pull one sock on, the next sock aid is ready with the next sock. And the tricky thing is there is a loop at the end. But I think if your child, if this is too long for your child, you can always cut it and restitch it. Or sometimes we make our own loop. Or if they want, they can actually wrap their hand up around the strap. But unfortunately, it only comes in one size. So, if they have small feet, I don't know how well this will fit. It will probably work, but it might make it a little harder. And I like this one. I like the soft one over the hard one because if you have narrow feet, small feet, you can actually squeeze this and get the sock to fit around it. There's a hard plastic one that I do not have with me, but it's pretty much shaped like this. It's static. You cannot move it, and it's better for if guys have big feet or if you wear very thick, very high tight socks. And you can also do compression stockings with these. So I tried it with compression stockings. It works.
I wish y'all had like seen my face when when you showed like the sock actually going onto the foot. I was like, what?
Again. And they have a lot of tools, if you have a fine motor issue, or sometimes we just have that zipper that's really hard to get the pull around your hand. So, sometimes you have the jeans or the pants and you just can't get the little zipper. So they have devices like this. And you can just search zipper pulls. They come in fabric, they come in little loops. Some are like an elastic, almost like a hair tie. I like this type because it's easy to get your finger around it like this. So if you have fine motor skills, it's still hard to grasp like a little piece of fabric. But here, look you guys, you can actually pull down your zipper using this. So there's a little, let's see if you guys can see this. You see how this latches on, almost like a key ring. So you put this on the opening of your zipper, and instead of having this little metal zipper pull, you have this. So for kids who want to be able to pull up their jeans or zip something up, zip up their jacket, this will be perfect. Comes in different colors. So it's very customizable. And you can go online. I got these from Amazon, super cheap. A pack of, I think I got maybe 6 or 8, less than $10. So quick fix. makes dressing a lot easier.
That's what we need in our household.
I think everyone needs this.
Yeah, zippers seem to be, I don't really want to say a trigger, but it's definitely a lot of, we're getting ready in the mornings, and you know, I'm trying to think of when we lived in Kansas before, when it was cold.
Yeah.
It's everybody's trying to get ready in the mornings, and of course you have to stop and do what feels like a million zippers, not a million zippers, obviously. But it's, you're having to zip kids into jackets because it's frustrating them. And yeah, so I'm like, I need those.
Yeah, and I think especially if you're in a rush, you have multiple kids, you have to get yourself ready. Like you can put, if you have a jacket, you can put like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 of these on, and they're cute because you can get it to match your jackets, and because sometimes there's also jackets on the sleeve and jacket. A zipper on the sleeve, zipper here. Some of them are double zip, so you can zip up and zip down. It's really hard when you have like gloves on. So this will make it a lot easier. So everyone have to get some of these. Even I could use them. I was thinking you can put them on backpacks and suitcases, everything.
Oh, backpacks are a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the fact that it doesn't look like it's an adaptive type modality. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you'll buy things and it's like my oldest son, it's like, I don't want to use that because it stands out too much.
Right.
And we just found out too that he has to go back into AFOs, and he's 10, he's a preteen. Yeah. And that's really hard, with the idea of having to wear AFOs again. And so that to me, that looks like it would just be something that it's a decoration.
It is.
Stand out as much for him.
With AFO, sometimes, I don't know if he wear pants, with the zipper on the side to kind of accommodate that extra, bulk around.
Oh, I have not. We're living in Texas right now where it's still like 1 billion degrees. And so it's going to be a while till we get to pants, but I didn't even think about, oh my gosh, now I have to, because we just started wearing joggers and he loves joggers, and now I'm like,
yeah. So I think if he needs to wear long pants later, when you guys are done with the heat wave, this will definitely be a big part in the morning because he'll be able to at least work on, pulling and, zipping his pants if he has joggers. Because AFOs are really hard to get in. But speaking of like shoes and stuff, I have something else to show you guys. So they also have elastic shoelaces, and if you go online and search maybe elastic shoelaces or modified, maybe elastic shoe system, you're going to find a whole bunch of things like this. So I just got the traditional laces because I wanted to show you guys what happens. So it's actually a really big piece of rubber band, and it stretches a whole lot. So instead of having to tie your shoes or trying to have your kids put their foot in and then you're tying the shoe, your shoe opens up and become a slip-on shoe. And if I actually lace these a little too tight, that you have them open up a little bit, your shoe will open up a lot. So, sometimes we recommend maybe shoes with Velcro or slip-on shoes, but then you don't get the style that you like. And you want your shoes to look like everyone else's shoe. So you can take any pair of shoes that you have and you lace these up, and then it becomes a slip-on shoe, but it looks like a regular pair of shoes that you'll see anywhere else. And sometimes people don't even like this. Sometimes they're long and you can't really cut them because it starts fraying right there. So there are systems that you can get without this piece. You just lace it up, and they have almost like little stoppers here. So you don't even have to deal with hanging shoelaces. I think the problem with these are sometimes the shoelaces come flat, which I like, But some people get elastic shoelaces that are actually round. And yes, you can tie them, but the problem is if it's a round shoelace, they still come off. So you still have to um, worry about tying your shoes. And it's very easy to tie, it's very easy to lace up. And look how much it's stretching. So it turns.
So I love that, Candy. You know what's coming to mind that I think is brilliant about this? It's that maybe it's just me and maybe my kids are just extra special, but you know that like the fidget, they always want something to fidget with. And I could see
Yeah,
this as the perfect opportunity for a little one in school or even an adult with
yeah,
ADHD. You know, you're sitting there, you put your leg across, and like just having the ability to stretch it
yeah,
could be so comforting.
like this. Because
Yeah.
they it stretch a lot. So I think that's a great
Yeah.
idea. And I think sometimes, I mean, Velcro shoes, I think they're starting to be more stylish. There's a lot of Velcro shoes out there, but you still don't have the variety of the shoes that you can find in a store and adding cute shoelaces. And these come in wild colors. Like there's like 10,000 colors of these. And I don't know if they have designs, but if they don't, they should, because then kids can totally pick what they want. And it makes dressing a whole lot easier in the morning, right? Save time. And plus, if you have it tired already, the kids, you know, sometimes they might need a shoehorn, they might not. They probably can get their own shoes on without having to fight with you or, waste precious moments in the morning when you have to get these kiddos off to school. A new find is also these guys. So these are called Kizik's. I don't know, have you guys seen these before?
I think I have. Are these the ones where you just kind of step and your foot slides in?
Yep. So this part is pretty stiff and it's angled in a way. So when you get your foot in, it slides in there because usually the issues we have with regular shoes is this. And once it does this, it's really hard to undo it. You basically have to take your shoe off and start over. With the Kizits, this part stays back, it's angled so as you slide your foot in, this part is almost impossible to step on it and have it go in. So these are perfect for people. Sometimes they have limited ankle mobility where they're not able to flex and extend their ankle. So this is perfect. Or I was thinking if, like if your son is going to wear an AFO, it makes this part a lot more manageable. So imagine something
Yes.
like
It's
this.
like the biggest issue we have. My dad just bought my son. It's my oldest son that has to wear the AFOs again. And he's had like an intense leg surgery, the whole 9 yards and stuff. On both his legs. But when we had this leg surgery, we were kind of under the impression that he wouldn't have to wear AFOs again. It would be all fine and dandy. So he's been like getting all the shoes and stuff that he wants, that he loves. And my dad actually just bought him some really cool new Nikes. And I don't know. I was just like, I have to get those as soon as possible because the AFOs are gonna come and we may not be able to wear them. And so that's but the biggest thing with the AFOs is
Right,
trying to get it around the brace, and it stinks when you have to go up like a size and a half
right,
because that affects the kid's gait, right?
right.
Or at least that's what we've noticed. And so uh and he doesn't like, I hate to say this, but like the Billy shoes, he doesn't really like those, and stuff like that. So
I think a problem with, I do have some patients who go a size or even half a size up, so there's more room, but then there's more space in front, at the toe box. So it becomes a tripping hazard. Like if you have limited sensation already, and then there's an AFO, or you have no sensation at all, and then you have this extra piece of shoe in the front, and you're trying to walk, and your balance is off, it's totally a tripping hazard. So I was thinking, Jennifer, if you had something like this and elastic shoelaces, it will totally accommodate his AFO. So these are Kizits. I ordered these on Amazon, but you can totally go onto their website. It's KISIK. They have different styles, different colors, guys, girls, and I think they have kids. They should have kids also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll have to look into those. We use the brace, the not the braces, but the laces there because we always change our kids' laces out. When we get a new pair, they like snap or something at the top. My middle son has such a wide foot. If anybody has a suggestion for a super wide foot shoe, let me know. Please send those suggestions my way because we have the hardest time finding shoes to fit him. But we have to use the adaptive snap laces that you can also get on Amazon, just because the longer laces drive him. Like I think they just sort of like he didn't like them.
Yeah. Sometimes it's really hard to manage like longer laces because they get tangled up, and there's just too much. It's like having an extension cord that's like double the length of what you need. Right?
Yeah.
So very cumbersome.
Yeah, and our boys like right now they were diagnosed with a mitochondrial disorder and it affects their muscles, and so their walk and their gait is possibly off because of that. So it's always hard to they just go through shoes really fast. I mean, besides being kids, obviously, there's that, but
so I'm hoping, with the elastic shoelaces, at least they can change it up a little bit. And maybe like the Kizik's and the regular shoes and shoelaces, something will work out for you guys.
Right. Crocs are really in style here. I find it very fascinating. But our kids can't, like, they're not supportive enough for it. Like,
because some of the Crocs have this strap that goes around the back of the.
Yeah, we've tried those and no.
It didn't work. Sorry.
No. So.
And then one thing I want to talk about is compression stockings, and then I'm going to talk about toileting really quick. So, some people have to wear compression stockings. Some are knee high and some are thigh high. So the problem is sometimes they want to put them on, after they've taken a shower or after they put lotion on. But my recommendation for compression stockings is get them on in the morning before getting out of bed. Because that's when, if you're able to elevate your legs at night, that's when you have minimal swelling. Because it's really hard to get those really tight compression stockings on legs that have lotion on them or if they're wet. And just so everyone knows, if you do have to wear compression stockings, they have the traditional elastic. There are some that has like a Velcro flap, and some compression stockings actually have a zipper down the side. So there's actually a couple varieties. And always check with your doctor before you change up your compression stockings. And other thing that occupational therapists have to deal with on a day-to-day basis is toileting. So toileting, I think, is also pretty complex. This is where you have a lot of equipment in very small spaces. And toileting equipment is not things like this, where it's easy to just put away in a drawer. You're dealing with things like commodes and raised toilet seat and safety frame. So I know a lot of the families, sometimes they need to move around, and we don't want to recommend things that are too stationary. Like I wouldn't want to recommend things that you need to bolt down to the wall, because there are equipment and grab bars that you bolt down to the wall. So I think usually if you have a hard time getting off the toilet, I like commodes. So commodes are basically, they look like a regular walker with a toilet seat in the middle. So basically you can put this commode over the toilet. And the good thing is they're portable. You can order it from Amazon, any online place. And a commode, they call it 3-in-1 commode, because you can put this toilet aid over the toilet, like in the shower or sometimes a bathtub. And you can put it next to your bed or wherever you want to put it, living room, kitchen, wherever you need a commode. And I do recommend people using a commode in the shower if they have, trouble standing up or they get tired really quick. The trick is, this might get a little graphic, so I'm sorry. So, the commode have a open toilet seat. So the trick is to make your shower, and everything safer. You actually take out the bucket that comes with it. And when you're sitting on it in the shower, you don't need to stand up at all. I tell my patients, you just get the handheld shower and stick it under you, excuse me for being graphic, so the water sprays up underneath you, kind of like a waterfall or a water fountain. So you don't have to deal with a kid, that has trouble keeping themselves up. It's wet in there, it's hot in there, they're naked, there's nothing to grab onto if they lose their balance. They're probably slippery because of the soap. So with the commode, they actually stay seated like for 100% of the shower, so you can wash all the important areas. Other things that you can put in your bathroom are things, like a raised toilet seat. Basically, almost looks like a donut with handrails on it. So it makes it easier for you to get up, off, on, and off of. The trouble, I think, with raised toilet seats are they are not adjustable. Commodes are adjustable. You can adjust the legs in the commode. For a raised toilet seat, if you buy, just say off Amazon, they're usually maybe 3.5, some are 4 inches. So you're stuck with this big, thick piece of plastic on top of your toilet seat. If the kids are tiny, or if you're tiny like me, your feet are not going to reach the floor. And one of the things that you need when you transfer, you need both your feet to be flat on the floor. You need to be able to sit comfortably onto the seat with your whole, your hips and your buttocks and your thigh on the seat, but your feet have to touch the floor. So if you put something up that's up too high, your feet are going to dangle, and when it's time to transfer, you're sliding your body off this hard plastic, which makes it very unsafe. So for people who are tiny with difficulty getting up or transferring, I highly recommend a commode. They're easier to manage in a way. They're more stable. Um, if you do not want to change the height of your toilet, just say the seat height is fine, and they just needed something to help them get up off of, you can get a toilet safety frame. So this frame actually anchors to the back hinge of your toilet seat. So you have two frames on the side, and usually the height is adjustable. So when they stand up, they have something that they can push up from, and when they sit down, they have something to hold on to where they can slowly ease themselves down onto. We have a lot of people who have weakness in the legs or they're scared. So when you tell them to sit down in a toilet, they fall and they plop down on the toilet, which makes it really dangerous because they can either miss the toilet or they land at the seat too hard. And I have toilet patients who actually crack their toilet bowl because they landed so hard, or they hit their back on the tank or the lid behind them. So if there's any way you can get them to hold on to something and go down slow, that makes the transfer a whole lot safer. And so I wanted to combine lower body dressing and toileting because it involves both at the same time. So for you to be able to sit in the toilet, you have to be able to stand up, get your pants down, be able to clean yourself afterwards. And some people, they have a hard time reaching around to clean themselves. Excuse me for being graphic. So now I see a lot of people using bidets, and they're easy to buy. They're not like a couple years ago where it was like a special big deal thing that you needed special installation. Now you can almost go to Costco or go to Costco.com and find a bidet, and you just install this thing on top of your toilet seat. So it helps because sometimes if you're not thorough with toilet hygiene, that plays a big part, with like getting bladder infections and all that. And I don't know if anyone has any questions for me. If you do have some toilet equipment, I don't know if you're talking about like a raised toilet seat. That will be hard to bring to school because they're pretty big. I think if your child needs something at school, hopefully the school will be able to accommodate them and have like a special stall. Or if you don't mind bringing that piece of equipment and leaving it at school, and that will be like your designated um, toilet space. It's going to be very difficult to have to lug that back and forth. And I don't know if you would want to lug a toilet seat back and forth. So ideally, it would be great if the school can make the accommodations, but if not,
Yeah,
your own and leave it there,
I
right?
was gonna say, I believe like the school would need to accommodate at some some point. I know we had after my son had he had a femur deformity surgery in April of 2022, which he was homebound for the rest of the year for. But, listening to you talk about, oh, this is how you accommodate, this is what you need to do. I wish I had advocated harder for some more at home equipment, because I think they sort of assumed he would get home, everything would be okay, and they completely disregard the fact that he was relearning how to walk, he was having to sleep on the couch, like we had to help him to the bathroom and bathe and go to the bath, all of that, when he had been independent for quite some time. And so it was very hard on him and it was hard on us. And now listening to you say how to make this easier, I was like, God, I wish I had advocated hard, like knowing what I know now, I should have advocated harder for more like medical equipment or assistance or something, or have somebody come in my home and tell me what we needed. We did end up buying like a shower bench for him, that my husband found at Home Depot. And so we were able to help him with that. But going to the bathroom was probably one of the harder aspects of it,
I agree.
because
Because
he it was his femurs. And a lot of people don't realize, like, where the femur, like, it's, how much of that goes into lift it. We just don't think of those things in the moment until you can't really move them.
so I think the worst thing that can happen to a child at school is not being able to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
But then it will lead to accidents. So, I mean, hopefully the school will be able to accommodate what they need, even like putting up grab bars in the stalls. Because sometimes maybe all you need is a grab bar to stand up,
Yeah.
or for your balance, when you're trying to pull your pants up or pull your pants down to sit on the toilet.
Hmm. Yeah, my son, when he had the hardware like removed from his femurs, he was able to go back to school after a week, but we requested, like, hey, he needs to go to the bathroom in the nurse's office because someone's right there, someone's accompanying, like, is outside the door in case he needs help or something, or if he has an accident, it was so. But it was probably for about 2 weeks. We had to have him use the bathroom in the nurse's office.
And I think it makes it stressful for the child. It makes it stressful for the teacher. It makes it stressful for the parents, because then you're hoping that
Yeah.
they're be okay at school, because you want school to be like a learning experience. You want it to be like a positive experience, when a place that they go to every day with their friends and learn, and not have to worry about if I can make it to the bathroom on time, or if I can even get on and off the toilet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess, a concern that, like, we don't really think about until we're in the moment. So, yeah, but this also helps too, for those of us with my parents, if they watch this, they'll be like, we're not aging, but, like aging parents and stuff, it's like you think about these things. It's, like, oh, what are we going to need? And, um, it's, yeah. So it's all good suggestions to have for all ages, in my
I
opinion. So,
And I think any one of us can end up needing some type of equipment one day. You hurt your knee. Twin sister had knee surgery last year because she, from a fall. But it's like little things that you think will never happen to you, and things life happens, and sometimes you might have trouble getting on and off your toilet, or having trouble put your shoes on because you twisted your back or something. So
yeah. I had rotator cuff surgery in December of 2020, and I didn't realize I actually had to go see my hairstylist to wash my hair and stuff because I was like, I can't wash my hair. I can't. And it was December in Kansas, and I was like, I need help. This is crazy. And yeah, it was.
You just never know.
Yeah, I tell
And
people that often. I'm like, you never know when you might like.
right.
I hope nothing happens, but there's yeah, there's always that possibility,
And you know,
unfortunately.
I showed you guys a lot of equipment. It doesn't mean that everyone have to go order everything now, but at least you know you have an idea if you sometimes one day get stuck trying to get your kid's shoes on. At least you go, oh, I remember seeing, you know, the talk, and I can go order, you know, this item and this item to make it easier. But you know, upper body dressing, even being able to put your clothes on, is difficult. And later on, we can do a talk on upper body. We can probably spend like an hour just on upper body dressing, and we can spend an hour on like showering equipment, bathing, showering, all that stuff. Because there's a ton of things.
Right. I always find so my kids were diagnosed with sensory processing disorder when they were young. My middle son was like 18, 19 months, and then my oldest was like 3 or something when he was like officially diagnosed. And I've come to like, being military, we move every couple of years, so we see a lot of different occupational therapists with different opinions and expert areas of expertise and stuff. And I find like each OT that we interact with, it's like something else. I'm like, wow, I've never heard of that. And even though we've been in this for like 7 years, um, I'm like a lifelong learner. I feel like I love that, each time you talk to a different OT, like even whenever we were doing the poll, I think Rebecca was like, okay, these are our options. And I was like, this is an OT. And then they were like, no, it is. Like, I was like, because I always think of sensory because that's always what my kids have focused on. Maybe like occasionally like with the socks and the zipper and stuff like that, maybe some writing or whatever. But I was like, oh, and so learning about the sock, like that little sock contraption that you just showed, or even the sock with the loops, I'm like, this is genius. Like, what?
And I think, like for as an occupational therapist, because I do home health, basically like my job when I go walk into my patient's house, you know, we talk about what they were doing before their prior level of function. And our goal is to get them as close as we can. We can't always get them back to their prior level, but we do what we can in between. And, you know, order equipment, you know, like the sock aids and like commodes, and we work on with them just to get them as independent as possible. That is within, um, that's safe for them. Because if it's something that's not safe, we would not recommend it. And I'd rather them have help if it's something that they cannot do. But you know, with the kids, you know, we want them to be able to be independent. We want them to be able to dress themselves because it's something that they have to do every day for the rest of their lives. So
Mhm.
what tools and technique we recommend, they can start building off of the tools that they use now and maybe later not need them or keep using them. But all these tools are very inexpensive. Um, you can get multiple, you know, like reachers and just have them laying around the house just to make everything easier for the kids and family members at home.
Yeah, I mean, you just never know. I mean, you just never know what's going to come up.
Yeah.
Um, I'm kind of, like for us, I'm always like, oh, okay, like let's just add this diagnosis and this new
Right.
like appointment and therapy to our plate and stuff. Like, and it doesn't phase it. I mean, it phases me, but it like doesn't. I'm just like, oh, okay, we're doing this now. Great. And so I like hearing all these tips because in my head, I'm like, we could possibly, it's very likely we could need this in the
Yeah.
future for one of our kids,
Yeah.
or sorry, parents, like, as their parents get older. So I've probably just solidified the fact that my parents are like, you get nothing now because I'm talking about them aging, but
Which
no.
is true because, you know, one day we're all going to need something. Right?
Yeah.
And hopefully all the recommendations that we talked about today, they're relatively inexpensive because some
Mhm.
whole equipment can cost hundreds and thousands of dollars. A lot of these are less than $20, and it can solve, like an issue that you're having in the morning or an issue your kids are having in the morning for under $20.
Yeah, socks and shoes always seem to be like the biggest issue for us. Unless it's like a piece of like clothing material that maybe one of my kids like just is boycotting for that day. And so yeah, we do have a question. So just to let you know, like we have a lot of people in our Facebook groups that have children who are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Two of my kids are, my two oldest boys are. But the question is from Holly Duncan: what tips can you give to families who have children on the spectrum with toilet training?
Hey, Holly. So I think to work on toilet training, we recommend like a schedule, a time. We call it time voiding. So, usually maybe 30 minutes after a meal, if they're home with you, to have them sit on the toilet. And if doable, maybe every 2 hours. Even if they don't have to go, they have to go a little bit every 2 hours, get them sitting on the toilet. So that way you can kind of retrain their body to every couple hours you're going to go. And sometimes it's frustrating. I think it's one of the harder things you have to do because it's really hard to make a kid sit on the toilet when they don't want to. So maybe, I don't know if you can turn it into a game or tell them you're going to go sit on your toilet when they're sitting, whatever works for your child. But usually we do recommend sitting on the toilet about 30 minutes after a meal because that's the time sometimes after a little bit of digestion, that's when you might actually have some results sitting on the toilet. I hope that works for you, Holly.
We use when we had some regression in this area, obviously, because we just moved this summer, but we use I can't even remember the name of the app. It's like Potty Whiz or something like that. But it has a really fun, it's a timer. And so it's like I would set the timer for every 45 minutes to an hour. And it got to the point to where like we would hear, like my son would hear the timer and then he'd immediately run to the bathroom. And he would want to turn the timer off. I don't know if he thought it like when you turn the timer off, it like shot confetti or something like that on the app. And I don't know if the timer, it's very likely the timer annoyed him. And that's why he wanted to turn it off. But he really liked,
helps, right?
Yeah.
Whatever helps.
So yeah, we've been here for a little over 40 minutes now. I don't know if anybody else has any questions or.
We have a question from Holly about showering.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Holly.
So I think it depends. I don't know if there is a typical age. It depends on what your child is able to do. But I think showering is also a really big deal because a lot of falls happen in the bathtub or showers. And we can probably do another whole segment on like just equipment in the bathtub and shower. But just to answer your question really quick, I think usually like when I see my patients for shower training, initially I'm more hands-on so I can figure out what they need to do. If you have a bathtub, and just say if your child, Holly, has trouble getting in, but they're able to stand, you can install grab bars or put a chair inside. If they have a hard time standing, you can actually get a tub transfer bench. You can look that up on Amazon, tub transfer bench. So usually it's probably the size of a piano bench, where part of it straddle in the bathtub, part of it straddle outside. And basically your child will just sit down at this bench and scoot into a bathtub without ever having to stand up. And then we recommend like putting grab bars up in your shower or tub area. And I really like the shower hose. People call it shower hose or a handheld shower. So your child can actually take the shower and wash himself. So instead of having that overhead spray where the water is at you spraying in your face, they have control of the water. Close the curtain, close the sliding glass door so water doesn't spray all over the place. But it's just a nice thing to have. And to even make it a little safer for them, if they have the ability to put the shower onto the handheld shower on the bracket, they actually sell wall mounts on Amazon. I get them from Amazon, whereas a suction cup that you can suction it, mount this bracket onto the wall. So if you're sitting down and you have your handheld shower, you can just mount it wherever you want instead of having to stand up and mounting it over your head. But I think it depends. But I do want to do another talk on bathroom equipment, like in the shower or in the bathtub, because there's tons of different things you can do. And a lot of falls do happen when you're taking a shower. I hope that was helpful, Holly.
So I'm not Holly, but I found a lot of that very helpful. And I think that we all agree we'd love to have you back to talk about showering and how to get slippery little ones out of the bath safely. I don't know about other people's, but mine doesn't want to get in and do the actual showering. But then once we're done like cleaning and washing, she also doesn't want to get out. So I feel like a live on like how to safely maneuver all of this seems like a really great idea. So I'm volunteering EFM to do another live with you if you're willing to come on and talk to us about that.
Yeah, I know. Like for us, it was once like when we have the kids, like I have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 4-year-old. And it's like the more independent we allow them to be when it comes to ADLs or activities of daily living, the more inclined they are to be like, yes, I got to go do it because it's not mom washing hair. It's me. And we just sort of tend to like check on them. Like, did you wash your hair? Did you wash your body? That sort of thing. Did you rinse your hair? Having been a previously like practicing child and adolescent therapist, walking families through like, you got to give them a little bit like trust and independence and give them that opportunity to show you that they are capable. They will probably not follow, like, you'll still have to monitor them, obviously, but the more a little bit of a leeway you can give them, the more willing that they're probably going to be to do these things on their own.
And I guess as an OT, I certainly don't want the kids to get hurt during the whole shower and bathing process. But as a parent, we also have to protect you guys, that you don't hurt your back trying to grab a squirming child out of the bathtub or the shower.
So yeah, when my son had his leg surgery the first time around, I was accidentally lifting him like that with my like this and not like with my arms, and I thought I broke my thumb.
Right. And you can get her because they need you. So we need to protect all the parents out there too, as well as keeping the kids safe. So I'm looking forward to our next talk because we have so much that we need to talk about. And I have so much to show you guys and tell you about. There's a lot of new stuff, and there's always new stuff coming out too.
That is so exciting. So before we let you go, Candy, I wanted to give you the opportunity to tell us about your adaptive clothing line. Tell families where they can find you online. Are you out yet? When can we expect you? Tell us all the great things you have, because I know that I am personally looking forward to an adaptive clothing line. I think we've said it. Our kids can be a handful and they're lovely and wonderful, but letting them be independent is amazing. So tell us all about it.
So I have a twin sister named Sandy. She's actually my business partner. We've been working on this project for a long time, like years. We were put on hold because of the pandemic. Our manufacturer had trouble kind of sourcing the fabric for us, but we've been thinking about this forever. So we designed adaptive clothing. Right now, there's going to be exciting news coming up in the next 2 months or so. But we design clothes to make dressing easier for everyone, because dressing is something we need to do every day, and a lot of us want to do it independently and not wait for a caregiver to walk into our room to put our shirts and stuff on. So our clothes are designed in a way with very special stretchy fabric. So instead of trying to wrestle with a t-shirt, getting it over your head, the fabric stretches, and there's like special openings, like on the shoulder, there's going to be a magnetic strip that flips open, so it widens the neckline. So instead of having a small hole for your head, the hole becomes bigger, and it just makes it easier to pull everything through. One thing we wanted to focus on for our adaptive clothing is to make it not look like adaptive clothing. It's basic things that you can layer, that you can wear every day, and no one will ever know it's adaptive. We have like hidden zippers. So, one of the design that's probably going to be rolled out in 2024 is a men's button-down shirt. So it has buttons on the outside, down the front, but inside is actually a one-handed magnetic zipper where you can zip up and down. So for people maybe who have had a stroke and they have the function of one hand, it will take you days to do all the buttons. So they just have to use one hand to clasp the zipper together, pull it up and down, probably 5-10 seconds, you're done. Versus fiddling with all the buttons and magnets here. So you just do this, and the magnet will close, and you'll have a nice, neat button-down shirt. Little things like that. We have like women's wrap dresses. Instead of a bow that you have to tie or buttons and stuff, it's actually magnets. So you just basically flap the two pieces together, and you're dressed. We have like a wrap tops, cardigans that's super stretchy. So we have a Instagram account on Instagram is EQL dot THREADS. I think I have on my t-shirt. I don't know if you guys can see it. So Equal Threads, and on Facebook is Equal Threads. So we are very excited to tell you guys more about it. And hopefully in one of our future talks, I will have our products. That's actually what we're excitedly waiting for right now. And there's going to be a lot of neat stuff to show you guys. And the main thing is to make everyone's lives easier. We don't want to make it harder.
Yeah, when I worked in psychiatric hospitals, and then I worked a very short stint in a skilled nursing and rehabilitation facility. But like the big thing that, I will say, like almost all the facilities that I worked at, it was like resident dignity. And that just hearing about, it's, the nice button down shirt, a dress and stuff, like to me, I'm like, wow, that's going a step beyond to make sure that,
Right.
people have like, that aspect.
And we just believe that if your clothes are well fitted, my dog's barking, excuse me. So if your clothes are well fitted, it makes you feel better. You don't have to go around tugging at your clothes all day because our clothes will be well fitted, but easy to put on and get off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're excited to share more of that with you guys. And I'm excited to see you guys again soon because we still have a lot to talk about.
Yes, lots of things that can help our families, I think, because and it's good to know about those for our adult EFMP family members to know that there's stylish adaptive clothing coming to the table now, because it's everyone wants to look good, even though sweatpants and a sweatshirt are amazing. So,
I love them.
yeah.
Okay, so we put your Facebook page right down here in the comments. Thank you so much for joining us today, Candy. I know that we are all looking forward to having you back. So we will be back in touch with Candy soon. We're going to announce a Facebook Live for tomorrow concerning the government shutdown. So keep posted on our page, and we will see all of you very soon.
And for any future questions, they know where to find me. And
yes, thank you, Candy.
Thank you, you guys. Have a good day, everyone.